Yes, so a warm welcome to you, Nakul, and from 1 Million Women podcast and Psycho G. So, how are you, Nakul?
Fantastic, Pratik. How about you?
I'm great. I'm great. So, Nakul, I want to ask a basic two-liner question first of all. That who is Nakul and what does he do?
Well, Nakul is just like any other human being, trying to make a difference to the world in his own way. Nakul happens to lead an organization named Renovatio. He has studied, I'm talking in third person like you've asked. So he has studied chartered accountancy and also happens to give talks about meditation and life on several stages worldwide. So I had a spiritual realization some years back, since when my journey has transformed from just being a chartered accountancy aspirant and entrepreneur to someone whose mission is to create a more conscious, curious, and compassionate mankind. So that's how it is.
Amazing. Okay,
Thank you.
Nakul, how was your childhood? Like, are you the same person who was in the childhood? Are you carrying the same beliefs and whatever are your habits and everything? Are you carrying the same thing from the childhood, or you are totally different person right now?
Pratik, I would say I am at least 90% different person and 10% the same.
Okay.
10% being there are some inherent tendencies which a person has. Like I remember, I'm running an NGO now and transforming thousands of lives in many ways.
Right.
So right since I was a child, I always derived delight in helping people and making them smile. So if someone gave me a chocolate, even a single piece of Cadbury, when I was 3 or 4 years old, I have these old memories. A child usually has a craving to eat them all. Of course, I too had the craving, but I would ensure that every person in the room gets a piece of it, even if I don't get it.
Okay.
And I would derive more happiness finding them eat it rather than me just eating it myself, all of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that even when you go to temple to pray and to ask for things, so children say, I want this toy, I want this car, I want this thing, please give me that thing.
Right.
Usually that happens. But all I ever asked for was that, give the people who matter to me in my life, my relatives, my parents, my friends, give them my health and give me their illnesses, give me their diseases, give me their, whatever it is.
Okay.
So I still look back and question that, how was that? Back then I thought it was natural. I thought every child does that. And I thought it was something different. But now I question that, it wasn't really a belief system which my parents gave me. Yes, they are also people who are very compassionate. They are always looking forward to help others in every single way they can. But I find this to be very inherent within me. Thus, I think this part of Nakul, who always wants to, add value to the world, to bring a smile on others' faces, to make this world a better place to be, this part has remained intact. Also, the part wherein he is good at expressing and speaking and wishes to share his opinions with the world, that part also remains intact. But other than this, a lot of my belief systems have gone. They've totally transformed. Because our beliefs are created by our upbringing and surrounding.
Right. Perfectly said.
And it happens quite naturally when you're young. Okay. But when you really start questioning yourself, and this is what any spiritual journey is all about, Pratik.
Okay.
You start questioning everything which you think you are.
Right.
The way you think, the way you believe, the notions you hold, the feelings you have, you question everything. And you ask yourself, why this is so? And why not the other way around? And in the process of questioning, you start deconditioning. You start dropping all those beliefs which are not appropriate and relevant according to you.
Right.
And thus the Nakul which was there is no more in that context with those belief systems and ideologies. But yes, those attributes of trying to, create fun in life, enjoying, being adventurous.
Right.
These aspects are still there. Truly in love with life.
Okay. Amazing. Nakul, as you said that there is a time when you start asking question to yourself, right? When was your turning point?
Usually, Pratik, we all have a turning point. I do not specifically can call something as a turning point, but yes, there have been milestones.
Yeah.
So I, for a child, was very curious. Every child is curious. Yeah. But somewhere our teachers and our parents, when they cannot give us answers, they scold us and they tell us that, shut up, do what we're saying.
Right.
So children tend to drop their questions, because of fear. So fear kills curiosity. But
Hmm.
I was someone who was very outrageous, who would not take fear for yes.
Okay.
And I always, remained intact with my question. I was like, तुम्हारे पास जवाब नहीं तो ना सही पर मैं ढूंढ के रहूंगा.
Okay.
Right? So I was a stubborn child by that means. So
Okay.
my teachers would scold me that, why are you looking at us in the eye when we're scolding you? And I told them that if you're speaking to me, where else should I look if not in your eyes? And
Right.
if I'm not wrong, why should I look down feeling guilty? I'm not guilty. If you think I'm guilty, that's your problem.
Yeah.
Prove that I'm guilty. All right. So I've always been that child who would not get, threatened, and who would not feel fearful or insecure, and thus drop his curiosity. So I
Mhm.
always believed in asking questions. All my report cards have this, comment when teachers give a comment in the report cards
Right.
that this guy asks too many questions, and also that he does not let anyone else answer when we ask questions.
Yeah.
So I was always vocal about my, insights about different things, and I always had questions, and I never feared asking questions.
Okay.
But when I cleared my 10th standard, that is when my questions gained a lot of prominence, because we have to make a choice.
Hmm.
Till then, you don't make a choice. Your parents make a choice for you. You need to learn dance, you need to go to coaching class, you need to do this, you need to do that.
Right.
But after 10th, you have a sense of freedom. What do you want to do in life?
Hmm.
And my parents were very, grateful. I'm grateful to them that they told me, ki, do what you want to do. And I was like, oh my God, what do I want to do? All right. Because I was good at several things, being curious. If you're curious, you explore. So Pratik, I've been into numerous sports all my life: cricket, skating, football, basketball, swimming. I played all sorts of sports at good levels, DSO and city level and state level, whatever. I was at music. I played two instruments, synthesizer and tabla. I wrote poems. I was a choreographer. So as you see, I was into multiple things,
Right.
And being curious, I had a scientist wala mind, wanting to invent things and find these things. So I was in a total fix that what should I do? Coming from a Marwadi background, I felt I should become an entrepreneur. So one thing was clear, ki job to nahi karna hai, right? But my scientific bent of mind said, oh, you go to NASA. You're curious about life. Become an astrophysicist.
Mhm.
A part of my mind says, no, you become a dancer. A part of my mind said, no, you become a teacher. You are good with expressing and speaking. You become a journalist or teacher.
Right.
So different parts of my personality gave me different things, that you should do this, you should do that.
Hmm.
And this is when life gained very much importance. My curiosity, gained prominence.
Okay.
I started asking myself that what is life?
Mhm.
Because I had to decide what is the purpose of my life.
Right.
And for me to know what is the purpose of my life, I need to know what is life and what is more purposeful in life.
True.
Right? What is more important amongst all of these choices? And so this is one of the important turning points wherein I started becoming really serious about my questions.
Hmm.
Questioning people, is there God? Why do you need money? Why do we need to marry? And all sorts of things, all the belief systems which we are given. "Nahi, shaadi karna to zaruri hai. It's important to marry. It's important to pray to God. So I started asking all these questions.
Hmm.
And then, of course, I took an admission. I went into chartered accountancy. I was in my school. And I got heavily influenced by Munna Bhai.
Okay.
Lage Raho Munna Bhai. All right. And after watching Lage Raho Munna Bhai, I was like, Gandhigiri sahi hai. You should do Gandhigiri. So
Okay.
Gandhigiri says what? Ki jo andar ki achha hai, wo bahar nikalo.
Okay. Sahi baat.
Be compassionate towards people. Do not abuse them. Do not make fun of them. If they shout at you, let them shout. If they scream at you, let them scream. They will stop doing so.
Hmm.
So because deep within, I was always someone who wanted to do good for people and the world.
Okay.
I was heavily influenced by the movie. And that dramatically and drastically failed. But it helped me.
Okay.
Because I remember I took admission in 11th standard in my school. And the Nakul Agrawal, who was a very, I would say, a sought after guy, who was very mischievous, who would make fun of people, and he was very dynamic. He turned into a very innocent and meek Nakul Agrawal. He would now not make fun of people anymore. He would not pass comments. If someone is making fun of him, he would remain mum. He would not fire back.
Okay.
And I paid a heavy price. I became the butt of everyone's jokes. Everyone mocked me, laughed at me. This is what happens in the world.
Right.
If you don't fight back, they will oppress you and suppress you. So I went through a time wherein, there came a moment when around 100 people came to hit me. Mara piti hoti na, to badhiya, 100 something people came to really give me a bashing outside the school one fine day for something which I did not do.
Okay.
So because some people had these misunderstandings, so they said, "Oh, हमको तो नकुल ने बोला. Nakul told us this about you."
Okay.
And they came back to hit Nakul, and nobody took Nakul's side. He's like, छोड़ना भी, हम मरने दे इसको, मार खाने दे, क्या फर्क पड़ रहा.
Okay.
Right? So it was a very shocking phase wherein all my life I have been mischievous, but I never got caught. I never got punished. I was very clever. All right. But this one time I committed no mistake, yet I was being punished.
Okay.
So somehow Pratik, उन सब गुंडों में से जो नौजवान गुंडे थे कॉलेज के, उन सब गुंडों का सरदार मेरे बचपन का दोस्त निकला. He happened to be my childhood friend. He was like, नहीं, कोई नकुल को हाथ नहीं लगाएगा. So I did not get a good bashing. Otherwise I would have gotten a good bashing. But in the days that followed, the principals and the teachers asked that why is this happening outside school? And I realized the entire class, turned their back on me. Oh, Nakul is responsible. He did it. It's his fault only.
Okay.
The girl would start crying, and when the girl starts crying, everybody starts melting away.
Yeah.
So the girl who was really responsible for this incident, she was like, "No, I did not do anything. Nakul really did it." And I had an image of being mischievous, 10 years of my schooling.
Okay.
So the teachers were like, "No, Nakul must have done it. Despite what we think of him right now, he's changed, but he must have done it. He is at fault." So it was a difficult time, Pratik. There were people chasing me, trying to hit me, and give me some sense that, "Oh, you've done this to us. We will show you what life is. We'll give you a good bashing." And I was in fear, and all my so-called friends were like, "जाने दे इसको, मार खाने दे, अपन बीच में बताओ." All right. So it was a breakdown point, and yes, I had some friends for sure who stood by my side, but I started reflecting heavily, Pratik. So earlier I was just curious. I started reflecting as to what makes people do what they do.
Yeah.
What makes people feel the way they feel. What makes people believe what they believe. I started reflecting heavily on it. So my parents also came to school. It was a good 1 month affair, spreading threat. And I must admit, I was in a depressed state. If there's something called depression, I was in that state. It was the lowest point in my life.
Okay.
Lowest point in my life. But this day, when finally everything was settled, my parents told me, "Go back to your class." I went there. The moment I entered the class, people bounced on me. "We will hit you. We will not leave you. You said this about me to her. You said this about me to him." And afraid and scared, I ran back towards my parents that I'm not going to come to the school. You please take me out of it. I cannot survive here. They are going to not leave me.
Exactly.
But I do not remember what they exactly said. But they said something which gave me courage. And Pratik, I remember, it's a very important part of my life because you called it a turning point. And perhaps I'm elaborating it too long. So forgive me if I'm doing that. So I remember having this drop of tear in my eye, just an 11th standard teenager, 16-year-old, and fighting that tear, not allowing it to fall down, not allowing myself to be weak because tears are supposed to be weak, right? And I was like, "No, I will not let this tear fall, and I'm going to fight it all." And I turned back with a smile on my face and the determination that this world did not, digest the Nakul Agrawal who was simple and honest and innocent outside.
Exactly.
So now let me bring back the old Nakul. I will not kill the goodness within me. That will remain. Goodness should not be killed. But I'll make sure that they get what they want.
Okay.
All right. So my old avatar who would not, take shit, who would not take shit, who would give back, was back. And I went with a lot of determination in the class meeting. And everyone was stunned. How can this guy come up with so much of confidence and courage and smile on his face, knowing that, he's totally gone. Matlab, hum iski baja ke rahenge. And since that moment, of course, I cleared my exams. I left the school. I took admission in another college.
Right.
And I reflected heavily on this, on my behavior, on what influences people. So I really credit that time for turning me inside. I was curious. I was asking questions, but I really became observant, Pratik, about people, things, my own feelings, emotions. And Pratik, you wouldn't believe, I took an admission to a college and in standard 12th. And after the first 2 weeks, whosoever would enter the gate of the college. Now, this might seem to be hyperbolistic, but it's not. Whosoever would enter the gate of the college would come to me and like, Nakul bhai kaise ho? He would hug me and then enter, you know.
Okay.
And I wouldn't remember the names because there were so many people.
So many.
What I'm saying is I went through a personality transformation from someone who was laughed and made fun of to someone who was respected and admired. And I did nothing. I just changed my ways. I changed the way I walked. I changed the way I laughed. I changed the way I talked. I changed everything about me just by being more conscious.
Okay.
Right. So certainly, if I am to say something to be a turning point in my life, this incident was a turning point because now I really became observant about everything around me and within me. And this is what embarked me on my spiritual journey as well. So one, I already had questions about God, about life, about those things.
Right.
And second, this incident of becoming more observant about how do I feel, what affects me, why does it affect me, why do I feel good, why do I don't feel good upon, you know, seeing something or happening of something.
Right.
So this incident, I'm deeply grateful to the people who did that to me. I am deeply grateful to them. I have no hard feelings for them. I'm like, तुम ही ने मेरी जिंदगी बदली है without wanting to do it perhaps, but you're the reason I am what I am today.
Okay.
So, and yes, Pratik, I bounced back. I bounced back with a lot of courage, knowing that I have seen the rock bottom of my life. Okay. Now, what's there to lose? If I can bounce back from this low state of emotion, I can bounce back from anything because I know मैं इससे नीचे और emotionally feel नहीं कर सकता.
Yeah.
So then, you know, जो fear होता है, चला गया. In many ways, not completely उस समय, but in many ways चला गया. So I became very courageous, you know, and certainly that was a turning point in my life.
Sure. Okay, so in that worst phase, as you said, कभी ऐसे लगा तुम्हें कि you know, यार I'm done with the life. अभी मुझे नहीं करना या फिर you know, I want to
certainly
or anything like that.
Yes, Pratik, certainly. When you are in a very low state of emotion, you do have suicidal thoughts. And when you cannot find hope, you know, when do people commit suicide? When they lose hope.
Right.
They don't think that tomorrow can be better than today. This is what hope is. And this is what people live for. You're doing this session, these series, these podcasts, because you feel tomorrow would be better than today. In some way, maybe professionally, maybe financially, in some way. People live for a better tomorrow. And when they don't see a better tomorrow coming, then that is when they think about suicide to get rid of the pain they have. So certainly I had such thoughts, Pratik, that should I jump from the floor? Should I commit suicide? Should I do that? I had these thoughts. But I had the courage, you know, that no, I can fight back. I can face it. I can do it. You know, it takes courage to take the first step as well of committing suicide. So I did not go forth towards it. And I was like, no, I'll fight back. Let's see. Marna hai na. 2 दिन बाद मरेंगे, 1 हफ्ते बाद मरेंगे, देखते ना वो कितना है. So I never lost hope basically. I felt hopeless. I felt sad. I felt miserable. I felt pitiful. I cried hours in my room, in the bathroom. You know, I was very, I was like, कि क्या करूँ मैं, मुझे कैसे बचाएंगे, सब लोग मुझे मारने के लिए दौड़ रहे हैं. You know, how can I save myself? Right? And a 16-year-old teenager, उसके लिए ये बातें बहुत बड़ी होती है. You know, गुंडागर्दी ये सब वो कभी देखता नहीं है. In your school, you're in a cocoon. So it was a terrific time, but I'm glad. I'm glad I survived.
Okay. And can you tell me a brief about your family background and how they supported you in this phase of the turning point?
Yeah. So initially, Pratik, I was, before disclosing to my family that this is happening with me, I was very scared. Because I grew up in a family where they never encouraged me to blame others. If I am saying that the such and such person has, you know, hit me, has abused me, they'll tell me, you must be at fault. You must have done something wrong. So I'm like, मेरा side कभी लेते ही नहीं है. You know, they never take my side. They always blame me कि तू ही जिम्मेदार है, तूने कुछ गलत किया है. So I felt that my family also would not support me. They would blame me. And already I'm in much pressure. They'll do the same. But surprisingly, my family did not do that.
Okay.
All right. So I was very much afraid. Yeah, I was very much afraid to tell them what has happened with me. And Pratik, I feel a lot of people are afraid to do that because they don't think their parents will support them. But parents do support. You know, parents hold you responsible because they want you to not blame others. So it's a very good part of parenting to tell the child that you are responsible if something wrong has happened. But my parents supported me. They believed in me. They knew that I could not do something wrong. I could not say something wrong because they knew me, right? and they completely supported me, my entire family. And that is what gave me a lot of courage, a lot of courage. They came, they had a word with the principal. They came to drop me school, to pick me up, because people were always standing. For
Yeah.
almost 2-3 weeks, they were standing outside my school. ये मिले और हमको धोए.
College.
तो कॉलेज लाइफ वैसी होती है ना, जवानी की जो गर्मी होती है.
Yeah.
So they supported me, and thanks to them, thanks to their support, because the teachers too went against me. The students were against me, the teachers were against me, and I was not at fault. If I would have been fault, मैं नाक रगड़ के गलती मान लेता. I am such person. If you can prove me I am wrong, I have no shame in asking for forgiveness. But if I am not wrong, I would not do it. Come what may. I'll stand by my values and my words. So they stood by me, and it was certainly helpful, Pratik. And if you talk about my upbringing, my background, so I come from a family which is a business family. Being a Marwadi family, it's quite natural.
Yeah.
But my parents have always been someone who have appreciated to help others who are doing so themselves. Even today, my mother would drop grains of rice and things on the terrace for the birds to eat. She'll make chapatis for the cows to eat. And if anyone is in trouble in family financially or emotionally, she'll make sure that she supports them, whichever way, financially and emotionally, without us even knowing. We come to know later on. Okay. My father too would do that always. If someone is, a lot of people in my family credit my father. Because they used to be very spendthrift, and he told them, nahi, paisa kharch mat karo, invest karo. You know how Marwadis are. So they are like, because of you today we have a home, because you made us invest money back then.
Right.
And now they went through cancer treatments. So their home has helped them to go through those cancer treatments.
Okay.
So my family has always been someone who would think about others and help them selflessly, with no intent. And they would appreciate me doing so. They would never stop me ki kyun logon ki madad kar raha hai, So
Right.
I have been brought up in that atmosphere. And but they've never even encouraged me that you hold anyone else responsible for your mistakes or for your fights. So I have received a lot of bashing every single day when I was a child. I have received a bashing. इसलिए मेरे मोटे मोटे गाल चिपक गए शायद. So I used to fight with my younger brother, and you know how it is.
Yeah.
So they've given me a bashing. They've given me a good thing. I remember crying almost every single day. So I'm not saying I've been brought up in a bed of roses. I've been pampered. No, I have not been pampered.
Okay.
They've been strict, they've been firm, and I've cried a lot. And they've hit me hard. That's true. But then they've never given me wrong values, wrong morals, wrong belief systems. So, I grew up in some way an atmosphere of threat of getting a good bashing, like it was back then. I'm sure you might also have received that.
Yeah.
But also in an atmosphere wherein I'm encouraged to help people, wherein I've also received a lot of love, a lot of love from my extended family. I can never deny that. An atmosphere where they appreciated me exploring different things, taking me to skating classes, swimming classes, dancing classes, music classes. So they wanted me to get exposure, to grow, to evolve, knowing I'm very curious. So they've supported me in a big way, for sure. So, such kind of an upbringing I've had. And even now, if I'm doing something good for the world, it's only because they are supporting me. If they tell me that paisa kama ke la, warna hum teko khana pina nahi khilayenge, I wouldn't have been a Nakul Agrawal I am. All right. So, of course, without their support, this wouldn't have been possible.
Sure. Obviously.
It's always needed. And I owe them. I don't tell them, but I owe them.
Right.
So, yeah.
Okay. So, as you said that you are the founder for Renovatia, right?
Renovatio.
Renovatio. I'm so sorry. Okay.
Yes.
Renovatio, how Renovatio is different from other NGOs?
Pratik, every NGO and even a commercial organization, okay, everybody is working to better others' lives.
Okay.
The only difference in NGO and a commercial organization is that commercial organization also expects something in return. NGOs do not expect something in return. They just want to give. Okay. All right. And every problem is important in the world. I can never say that some problem is important, some is not important. So we are special and they are not. We are all playing a part. you are an NGO in a way. I mean, you're playing a part in influencing lives through sharing our stories with so many people around us, around the world. So the only thing which makes Renovatio different is that I think we believe that if you want to change something in the world, you can only do so by addressing the root cause of the problem.
Right.
A big reason why we have all the problems in a continuous basis is because we always address the effects and not the causes. Like it's been said in allopathy, that allopathy only kills the symptoms. It does not treat the causes. There is a lot of alternative therapies like homeopathy and Ayurveda, perhaps they work on the causes. This is what people say. I'm not an expert to really make a comment on it.
Right.
So a lot of organizations all there are doing things which is just addressing the effects and not the causes. Hence, even after the organization is gone, there needs to be another organization which works on the same thing. People are still planting trees and cutting trees. People are still educating children in the orphanages, and they are still orphans.
Right.
And the education does not improve. The system does not improve. So the system remains miserable, and you go on trying to, help children. And how many children can you really help? How many can you help? There are a billion children almost in this country. You cannot reach out to them through a volunteering model. No NGO can ever have the resources to actually, address the problem totally.
Yeah.
All these major problems, healthcare, education, we all do a bit. Holding small medical checkup camps, blood donation camps, yoga camps, planting 50 trees, 100 trees, 1,000 trees, but you can never override the problem. So I had a clear-cut understanding, Pratik, that the root cause of all the problems in the world, be it problems faced by us humans, you and me and others, or problems faced by the planet, be it animals, the environment, the root cause of all the problems is us, human beings. Isn't that true? The planet would do absolutely fine without us. It's been there for 1 trillion years and it's been absolutely healthy. And now we have destroyed it in many ways and saying, save the planet, save the planet. You don't need to save the planet.
Exactly.
You need to save yourself from destroying the planet.
Yeah.
Right? Because we've caused all this global warming, this extinction of species. Every year, 50 species are getting extinct. This melting of ice caps, all these problems which we see in the world are because of us only.
Yeah.
No other animal is contributing to it. The whales are not causing a problem. The polar bears are not causing a problem. The fishes are not causing a problem. The birds are not causing a problem. It's only us who are causing the problem.
Humans only, yeah.
Humans only. So if we really want to address the root cause of all the problems, the root cause is human beings. And if we really wish to change these problems, we have to change them, because change comes within. Right? And how can you change someone? By changing the way they think. I cannot change you, Pratik. How can I change you? I can only perhaps influence the way you think.
Okay.
And if the way you think changes, your actions change, right?
Exactly.
What makes me run an NGO and not anyone else, of thousands of people around me?
Mm-hmm.
Because I have this thought process that we need to care for each other. We need to support those who are not as privileged as we are. Right? But there are some people who are far more privileged than me and they still feel that they are underprivileged and they need to be more privileged, right? They never feel privileged and hence they never feel like helping someone. They just feel like exploiting them more and more to become more and more themselves. So if we really want to change the world, we need to change the people who are in the world.
Right.
And how can we do that? By changing the way they think. So how does Renovatio does that? One, we are working on the root cause wherein a thought process of an individual is formed. Okay. Your thought process, which means your belief systems, your values, your ideologies, were created when you were quite young, right? And two things contributed to it: your upbringing and your surrounding.
Okay.
Right? Now, in olden days, when we hear about Ramayana and Mahabharata, the kings used to send their son to a Gurukul.
Yeah.
To give them a different surrounding, right? It is no more possible in today's date.
True, exactly.
Right? So we can not isolate or change someone's surrounding. Your surrounding is going to influence you. Today, being social media, being news channels, be it movies, be it everything else. Right? Now your surrounding is not just limited to your neighbors and relatives and auto wala and doodh wala and all those walas.
True.
It's much more. So we cannot change the surrounding. What we could change is the upbringing. Again, upbringing has two aspects to it: parenting and schooling. Can we change parenting? I mean, we can make an effort, but no parent is willing to change, or rather, very few are willing to change. So the only aspect which we can work on to change a person's thought process is schooling, is education.
Okay.
So Renovatio runs programs. Its program is named Dreamcatcher, the flagship program, wherein we provide holistic and value-oriented education to children in schools, municipal schools, and slums and orphanages. So we're reaching out to thousands of children in all these places across Nagpur, Mumbai, Pune, and some other cities. And we have weekly classes because we have a volunteering model, right? Now, what do? We do three things, Pratik. One is we trigger their curiosity. I am what I am because I have been curious. So we feel if people keep asking questions, they would not have these ideologies and belief systems which would harm them.
Okay.
Right? So questioning is what makes us what we are. Right? Okay. It helps us to decondition our thought process and to create new ones as well.
True.
Rather than blindly accepting them. So one, we trigger their curiosity through our workshops, programs, and different modus operandi. Right? Two, we try to make them more conscious. How do we do that? By conducting programs on meditation and all these things. Meditation, yoga. And in the places we are working, we not just teach them meditation, we have installed a process wherein they meditate every morning in the assembly and 2 minutes before every class. Okay. Now, what does meditation do, Pratik? People think meditation gives you stress relief. Meditation is for enlightenment. Meditation is for becoming one with God. Yes, that is true. It happens. But what practically happens? Practically, you start observing your thought. Like I told you, observing makes you question, right? Unless and until you observe something, you can never have a curiosity about it.
Right.
A blind man is not curious about so many things as the person with eyes is. Exactly. Because a blind man cannot see it. Right? So the first thing is to make them observant. So once you start meditating, you start observing your own thoughts and thus the world around you as well. Second, you become curious because once you start observing, why is this happening and why not that? Right? So curiosity then leads to exploration. You start finding answers. Right? Once you have a question, you want an answer.
Right.
That's how the human mind is. So third is exploration. You start finding answers. Fourth is realization. You get an answer. Oh, this is the reason. All right. This is why it is happening. Right? So that aha moment when you get an answer.
Yeah.
All right. And you can get it from anywhere, from some person, from some book, from your own introspection, anywhere it comes. Fifth is experimentation, wherein you test the answer, whether it is really the right answer or you are mistaken. So you discuss with people, you perhaps implement it, you do some experiments to know, oh no, this is right, this works, this is the perfect answer. Right? And sixth, Pratik, and the last stage is sharing and remembering the answer. Because sometimes, even after having realizations, we forget them.
Yeah.
And you curse yourself then, oh yeah, I knew this is wrong. Still, why did I do this? Why didn't I use my wisdom? Right? So wisdom is when you remember your realization and are able to use it at the right time and right moment. And also you share it. Right? So we believe in these 6 stages. If you really want an individual to be truly compassionate, which we want them to be, to really be evolving and growing every day, to really live a happy life for himself and create a better world for others as well, I believe this is the most important thing, Pratik, which we need to do. First is to make them observant, then to show them the importance of questions. So they would naturally be curious by asking. We don't give them answers. We just trigger their questions. And if they ask us answers, we just cross-question them. This is our way. All right. So to encourage him to find answers.
Right.
And help him through the process and show him how important it is to share the answers. And thus become more compassionate. So we do a lot of workshops on good touch, bad touch as well. A lot of things, Diwali, science, a lot of things happen. But right. This is the core of it, Pratik. How we are trying to change the way people think,
right.
From the very system itself. And then, of course, we do a lot of such workshops for youth who are in colleges. Because उनके स्कूल में उनको जाके सिखा नहीं सकते हर हफ्ते, तो उनके लिए workshops and events करते हैं. Also for adults. In addition to this, Pratik, we also do awareness campaigns like e-cycle or e-waste, no honking, save water. Of course, we do this. Of course, we plant trees as well. Of course, we do blood donation camps as well. So
Okay.
every other thing which an NGO does, we do that. But for us, that is not so much important or so much impactful.
Yeah.
It's required, but this is our core, to create human beings who become change makers themselves, who change their own lives and change the world as well. People who do not crib, complain, and say that, oh, the world is like this, you are like that, nothing can happen, nobody can change. But people who are responsible and take actions, not people who are lazy and sit back and watch, but who are responsible, who make an effort, and who try to change the world in whichever small way they can, addressing the problems in their own life and the lives around them. I think this is how we can have a world which is truly beautiful for all of us to live in.
Totally agree. Super powerful.
So this is our vision, Pratik, to lead the next step of human evolution. If I talk about the vision, to lead the next step of human evolution through creating a consciousness revolution. Yeah. All right. So we've had the agricultural revolution, the industrial revolution, the IT revolution. Now we are having the AI revolution as well, artificial intelligence. But Pratik, the way things are going, it's high time that we have a consciousness revolution.
Exactly.
Otherwise, that depression, anxiety, suicide, all these issues are on the rise. For 15, you won't believe, Pratik, for 15 to 29 years old, suicide is the third leading cause of death. Can you imagine that? In cities like Nagpur, last year, 650 people committed suicide, majority being youngsters, which means 2 suicides every day for a city with a population of around 30 lakhs.
Oh my God.
Imagine the scenario in the country. People are saying that every 30 to 40 seconds, someone is committing a suicide in the world. And Pratik, trust me, we can save 100% of the suicides. I have saved 30 to 40 suicides till date. And I'm saying genuine suicide cases, okay? Which are medically suicidal, who have taken the first step, who are not contemplating suicide, who have taken the first step, who have bought a rope, who have bought the pills, who've researched how to commit suicide, and have decided that I'm going to do it tomorrow, day after, who've cut their hands, 30 to 40 such cases, Pratik, I have been able to save. And this is no big deal. Everybody can do that, all right? If you know how to. And what have I done? Just given them some clarity of life.
Yeah, right.
So the way things are moving ahead, Pratik, our addiction to social media, our emotional upheavals, all of such problems in the world, in addition to the existing problems which we have, I think it is high time that we need a consciousness revolution. And this is what we intend to do, creating a more conscious, curious, and compassionate world. So this is what Renovatio stands for.
I guess I've heard this first time. Seriously. Lovely.
Yeah, because it comes from within, originally.
Awesome. So,
thank you.
It's a 1 million women podcast. Nakul, I want to ask you this: how many volunteers you have, and what is the percentage of women in the volunteers? And what are the incidents have you gone through? The worst incident of women have you guys solved till now?
Pratik, today we have a couple of 100 volunteers in an NGO like us, wherein we don't pay anything, and we have never even did any fundraising. We have been operational for a decade. We've never raised funds. Okay. It's always been self-funded. So every year the volunteers keep changing. We have a new batch of volunteers every year. So some stick on, and most of them work for a year because they come for certificates or some other things, So currently we have a couple of 100 volunteers, but very few are active because our on-ground operations are, because of COVID, they are stalled, right? And we haven't done any recruitments this year, owing to COVID, of course. So we have a couple of 100 volunteers, but if you ask us active volunteers, in NGOs you have to ask 2 numbers: number of volunteers and active volunteers.
Yeah.
Not all who volunteer are active. कुछ लोग जोश में आते हैं, होश में नहीं. All right. So we have a couple of 100 volunteers, and over these years, a few thousand volunteers we've had over all our, operations and events.
Okay.
And if you talk about how many are women, I would say at least 65 to 70% are feminine.
Okay.
Yeah. So women or feminines, have played a very big role in our organization and all the things which we have done.
Right.
Still, a big part of my team is feminine. All right. And it's not because of my charm or any system. All right.
Okay.
It's purely because I feel they have a more compassionate heart than usually men do. They are more emotional than usually and sensitive than usually men do. Men are, we know it, right? And not trying to become a feminist or this,
No, that's a
but
fact.
just a natural thing.
Yeah.
That's a fact. And also, if you look at guys, they're more focused on, chilling out, doing hookahs and all those things. And women are not really that very interested in this in the teenage years, right? They're more interested in doing something creative, and they have a lot of sympathy within them and empathy within them too.
Right.
So
right.
I feel this is a big reason, Pratik, why we have 65 to 70% of our volunteers as feminines. And I think it's the same case with any other organization that we know of as well.
Okay. Lovely.
And if you talk about some important incidents, some important things.
Yes.
So the most heart-touching incidents, Pratik, which we have faced is a part of our Dreamcatchers program is a Good Touch and Bad Touch workshop, wherein we educate children about sexual abuse. Now, this is a very, very big thing. This needs a lot of conversation, Pratik. Trust me, as a society, we are ignoring it. We just read about rape in the newspaper, but we do nothing about it. I want to tell you that Renovate started because of a gang rape rally. There was a gang rape in Delhi, Nirbhaya, which prompted me to start a rally. I was 20-year-old, right? And there was rallies across the country. There was none in Nagpur,
right.
Even after 2 weeks of the incident. So I took out a rally, and I strongly felt that women need to be secured. Everybody has a freedom to live their life the way they want. Nobody has the right to, snatch everyone's freedom or their privacy or exploit them in whichever way. So we have this important program, workshop in Good Touch called Good Touch, Bad Touch in our project Dreamcatchers, wherein we talk about physical abuse, sexual abuse, and we educate children how they can become aware if someone is touching them inappropriately, and how they can, alarm their parents and the people around them, and how they can also protect themselves. Now, parents don't teach this quite early, nor do schools. In schools, talking about sex is a taboo, right? And so the first time, Pratik, we did this, we were shocked. We thought that of all the cases, maybe 2, 3, 5 girls would have such experiences.
Right.
But Pratik, after the workshop, 80 to 90% girls, I'll go 90+% girls were crying and saying that we've gone through it or we are still going through it, and we cannot share it with anyone because we feel scared to share it with our parents or embarrassed, and we don't find the comfort with teachers as well. So they were crying, and Pratik, we realized this is such a bigger problem. So everywhere where we conduct this workshop, in all our centers, and we also do it for kids on the street and specifically.
Right.
And there are a lot of people who've been inspired by our work and did it independently in Pune and different cities. We've come to know about them.
Right.
So almost 90% plus women undergo sexual abuse of some kind or the other. It's a shocking statistic, Pratik. I do not know if there are some real statistics on this or not. 90% plus women. It's sad what kind of society we are living in. We talk highly about Indian culture and our principles and values. This is what we are, Pratik. If 90% women undergo some sort of physical sexual abuse, I think it's a very, very sad and painful society. And nobody, and it's not an outsider which is abusing them. It's an insider.
Yeah.
In most of the cases, it's a relative, it's a brother, it's an uncle, it's an autowala, like in one school, there was their maths teacher who was abusing them. He would call them and make them stand in line and then touch them in different places inappropriately. They complained to the management, but even the management did not do something.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And that is where we stepped in, and we made sure that the teacher is suspended, because the girls weren't lying. Okay. They weren't trying to mock and make fun of. It was a serious issue. But this is the state of Indian schools, Pratik, at least government schools, that the management also in many cases, I'm not saying in all cases, okay, I don't want to make a generalized statement, but in many cases, they don't value these things. They are like, oh, you must be lying, kidding. So a lot of girls undergo a lot of sexual, physical abuse through their buswalas, through their teachers, through their peers, fellow students, the people living around them. And this is not just in public schools, it's in private schools as well. There is nothing about caste and class distinction. So we've had many stories, Pratik, where they were being abused, and we were able to save them from this. Talking to their parents, teachers, or taking the measures through authorities,
Right.
police officers. We've done a lot of things. I
Right.
wouldn't like to disclose any names, of course, because I don't intend to demean anyone.
Right.
But it's a very, very, very big issue in the country. And unless we change this, we cannot expect the rapes to stop. Never. And we live in a repressed society, Pratik. Don't you think so? We live in a repressed society. And this is what turns into all these things, the repression turns into this expression and exploitation. So, we taught in a school wherein there were girls who were daughters of sex workers. Okay. And we were determined to bring a change in their life. Their principal and teachers told us that their own brothers, their real brothers, take them, these young girls, and, trade their flesh.
Oh my God.
Can you imagine? The girl's brother himself taking her out, exploiting her himself, and also trading her, for money. Young teenagers, I mean, not even 16, okay? Young, 10, 12.
Oh my
We were horrified. And the teachers were like, Kya kar sakte? What can we do about it? We can't do anything. She was just coming happily in a Honda City car because they get a lot of money. The government school teachers get 80 to 90,000 rupees a month, I came to know. 70 to 80,000 rupees a month, which is heavy, heavy, heavy money.
True.
Right? And they are very brash. They hate them. They don't love them. They are not really compassionate. And by this, I don't want to demean those teachers who are good. But I'm talking on the whole, having worked with a lot of teachers, I would say at least 60 to 70% teachers are hardly concerned about the child. Because they come through, donations. सरकारी नौकरी है ना, तो कॉर्पोरेटर को बोल के डोनेशन देके उनको नौकरी मिल जाती है, ताकि कई बार टीचर्स स्कूल आती नहीं है, अटेंडेंस लगा के चली जाती है, पॉलिटिशियन के लिए काम करती है. This is the harsh reality of the world we're living in.
Exactly.
So they are hardly concerned about the child. And by this, I'm again repeating, I don't wish to disrespect those teachers who are doing their best. There are some really beautiful teachers out there, really sincere. But this is the world we're living in. So yes, we've seen a lot of such incidents, Pratik, and we've done our best to change that in many ways. And yes, owing to our efforts, when the teachers see that the children are, getting an attachment through with us because of the love we are showering on them, the compassion with which we are working, we don't scold them, we don't hit them, of course. We encourage their curiosity, we love them. Also, a lot of teachers have undergone a change in their attitude towards them. The teachers who are very rash that ye koi kaam ka nahi hai, and they used to hit them,
right,
they've turned more loving towards them. So in many places where we are working, we've changed the equation between the teacher and student, not willingly. I mean, not telling them ye karo, but by being an example.
Right.
So yeah, a lot of good things have happened. The sexual thing has been a big thing when it comes to women. Also, a lot of young boys undergo sexual abuse. Okay, not a lot of know this.
Okay.
Yes, a lot of young boys undergo sexual abuse. Of course, the number is not as huge as the girls, but Pratik, in every single class, and the class has close to 30 students. In every single class that we take this session, there are at least 3 to 4 boys who come up. And I have goosebumps. We have tears in our eyes. We cannot stop fighting them. These are young, innocent children. And even the boys are being exploited by the people around them. So we are a society of perverts, if you look at it. We talk about culture, we talk about so many great things, but this is why we need more conscious and compassionate human beings, Pratik.
Right.
Because people in a fit of their emotion or hormones or whatever it is, they lose sense of what is right and wrong, and they do these grievous, and I do not know what, I don't have a bad word for it, as bad word as is possible, as should be used, these sinful and these miserable acts with such innocent guys. If these people are made conscious, Pratik, trust me, they would make a better choice. Consciousness helps you to make the right choice. It helps you to not get carried away by your emotions and your hormones, but use your intelligence, which tells you what is right and what is wrong.
Exactly.
So we are underestimating the importance of what it means to be conscious. This is why I'm stressing on it. It is so important at every level.
True.
To make the right choices, to make the right decisions. And if we do this, we can erode and erase and put an end to a lot of problems in our society and the world.
Truly. Ah, I got goosebumps and I heard it first time this one. Seriously, I didn't knew the number is so high. And I want to ask, like, can you name or disclose any top cities which are going through all this things?
Pratik, Nagpur happens to be a tier 2 city. Okay. We have branches in Amravati and Akola as well, which are tier 3 cities. And cities like Mumbai, Pune as well, which are tier 1 cities.
Yeah.
There is no city, Pratik, where these things are not happening. There is no city. I suspect that the numbers should be higher in tier 1 cities, but if they are
In
90%
reality,
in cities like Nagpur, yeah, in tier 2 cities, and there are still girls who hold themselves back, who do not express, who do not come out. You know, people are always shy. Not everybody expresses,
right.
right? The volunteers who take these sessions are specially trained. You know, we teach them how to talk, how to be compassionate, how to be open, how to create that, that atmosphere of trust wherein they can share. The girls tell us that, ma'am, please ask our teachers to go out. And a lot of girls talk to our volunteers when the teachers go out. So what does this tell? They're not even comfortable with their own teachers.
Right.
Because they said that teachers would judge us and they would call us names to SEA. This is happening, Pratik. So we are not creating a culture wherein there is trust between the teacher and student. Why do we need volunteers to do this? I mean, even if we have 1,000 volunteers, we cannot reach out to every student in every school in the country. किसी भी एनजीओ की ये औकात नहीं, प्रतीक. I mean, I want to use some harsh words, but किसी एनजीओ की ये औकात नहीं है कि वो जाकर के हर एक बच्चे की लाइफ को टच कर पाए. Because we're short of resources, right? What needs to change is the system. We need to have teachers who are compassionate. Teachers are just strict, severe, and teachers are there, a lot of them, not to teach but to earn. So firstly, if you're not there to make a difference in their lives, how would you make a difference? They're there to make their money. So they're least bothered, which is very sad. You know, people who like and love teach children, they're not the ones who become teachers. In our society, people who don't get any other job, they become teachers. Isn't that so?
Exactly. Yeah.
Nobody tells कि बेटा बड़ों के teacher बनना. किसी को teacher नहीं बनना है. And there are exceptions. So if someone is listening to it, please understand that I'm not talking about you. If you're an exception, as a general case, वही लोगों teacher बनते हैं जिनको और कोई नौकरी नहीं मिलती, और कोई काम नहीं मिलता. People who are not good for some other things, they become a teacher.
Right.
तो जो हमारी सोसाइटी का सबसे lowest तबका है, जिसको इंडस्ट्री एब्जॉर्ब नहीं कर रहा, जिसको बाकी एब्जॉर्ब नहीं कर रहा, वो जाके हमारे फ्यूचर को क्रिएट कर रहे हैं. कैन यू इमेजिन? इट्स लाइक you have an assembly line and the grade C product is being given to the grade 1 guys. The grade C product, it's like the grade C seeds are being sowed to create the crops of tomorrow. You will have miserable crops because you're using the grade C seeds. You need grade 1 seeds for it, not the grade C seeds.
Right.
But this is the society we live in. And then we complain that the world is bad. This is this, this is that. We need policy, we need government, we need police. Nonsense. Despite having a stronger government, police and policies, if you cannot change their mindset, nothing can change. But I want to share one thing. I am perhaps, going too long or
no worries.
Speaking.
No worries.
I took a session for the prisoners in Central Jail once.
Yeah.
They had invited me to take a session, and that session, though they invited me for 2-3 days, it went on for 2 weeks on their demand. And when I ended it, the jailer asked me, when are you going to take a session for us? Okay, so this was the impact. Okay. When I came, he asked me, why are you coming? A lot of people come like you and they go away. Don't waste your time over here. And when I left, he asked me, when are you taking a session for us? All right. Okay. So during that session, Pratik, I asked, there were around 350 to 400 criminals there. Okay. And all sorts of criminals. They were rapists, murderers, financial fraudsters, robbers, all sorts of people. No bar. I asked them that how many of you are going to go out and take revenge with the person who's been responsible for you being jailed in some way or the other. And I told them, I'm not asking if you're innocent or not. Of course, the majority cannot be innocent. The minority would be innocent at the most. The majority has to be, convict because the court is based on evidences.
Exactly.
The judiciary is very strong for that. So I told them, irrespective of whether you are at fault or not, would you in some way, take revenge with the person who has been responsible for you being inside the jail?
Hmm.
And I told them to raise their hands and be courageous. Pratik, imagine the number of people who raise their hands. Imagine the percentage of around 400, roughly 400 prisoners. Imagine the percentage.
95%.
No, that's way too much.
Okay.
But yes, Pratik, it was at least 80 to 85%,
Okay.
which is shocking. We think we are sending people to jail to set their minds straight. But in the jails as well, they are planning how to take revenge from the person who's responsible
They're
for them
thinking the
getting
same
jailed.
thing, how to take the revenge.
Yeah. So have you really changed a person by jailing him? I doubt it. Right? Perhaps they become fearless. अरे हमको मालूम है क्या होता है अब तो. अभी तुम्हारा network के contact से. You know? So around 85% people, Pratik, raised their hands. And I was stunned. I was not expecting it.
Okay.
I thought maybe 15%, 20% would raise their hands at the most.
Ah.
Because you should have a reality check now. Being so many years in the jail, it's not a good life by any means. It's a pathetic life.
Yeah, right.
I think we should have jail tourism. Trust me, for people to get a reality check that what would they go through if they commit crimes. People don't have that fear because they do not see what they'll have to go through. It's a pathetic life, Pratik. It's a miserable life living in central jail. Of course, the kind of lifestyle you have compared to what you can do in your home. And 85% of people are fearless. They say we are going to take a revenge. And then, Pratik, of course, I gave a talk. A roughly 1.5 2 hour talk. I helped them realize why they have this feeling and why it would change nothing and all those things. And I made them go through a process through which they can, throw out all their emotion, this feeling of anger and emotion, all those things. Imagine, Pratik, after this 2-hour session, when I asked them again, now how many of you are going to take a revenge? And I am nobody they're going to be afraid of, right? I'm just an innocent young teenager for them, right? And जो पुलिस वालों से डर नहीं रहे वहां बैठे हुए, मुझसे क्या डरेंगे, right? So मैंने उनको कोई धमकी नहीं दिया, which would make them change their words. I just gave them some understanding, some clarity of thought, and made them go through a process. After the process, Pratik, when I asked them again, how many of you are going to take a revenge now when you go out? The ratio was 12 to 15%. 12 to 15%. Now, I do not know how many really went out and took revenge. All right. I have no way to map that out.
Exactly.
Right. But what I'm telling you is, if a 2-hour talk and some processes can change their mindset from taking revenge to not taking revenge.
Right.
Do you realize that what we need is not these mechanisms and systems of law and judiciary? Of course, they're necessary. But what we need more is this sense of conscious and clarity of thought, which would change people. Nothing else would. And yes, some of them have come out. They have messaged me on Facebook, on other social media that, sir, we came out. Now we want to organize a session in Delhi. We want to make a good beginning, or thank you so much. There were people who were unable to sleep for 8 hours and then they were able to sleep after the sessions. So they expressed gratitude after coming out. I received some letters from them as well. So if someday we meet, I'll show you perhaps. So I do not know, Pratik, how many really changed. But if they change in those 2 hours, it's possible that they can change. Don't you think so?
Right. Obviously.
They can change. So, this is how important this is. And this is what we are missing out totally as a society. We're not working on it, on making people more conscious, more curious, and thus more compassionate as well. If we don't teach people this when they're young, we can never change the world. We can never create a better society, irrespective of all our infrastructure, all our economy, all our amenities and what policies and all those things. We can never create a better world for each and everyone if we cannot create a better human being. And this is why this purpose is core to my heart and Vatio's heart. And this is why now we've even come up with a mobile application for it, like I told you, named Aham. So as to reach everyone technologically. And now we're going to schools, private schools, public schools. COVID has been a blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
And now we aim to reach millions of children on a daily basis through that mobile application and make them conscious, curious, creative, and much more compassionate and much more. Okay. So I had just had a meeting today morning with one of the teachers, principals of a prominent education institution which has 100 schools. And he said that I am really, really excited for this. We want value education, and this is what we are looking for. So, perhaps
Lovely.
I hope we can make some good difference to the world in a positive way in days to come.
So, Nakul, what is your one message? Who is the girls who are going through the sexual harassment right now? If someone is watching this video and she's going through the same thing, what is your one message to them, to all the women?
That message is that you're not alone. You're not going through this alone. Every woman, almost every woman around you has gone through it. If I'm saying 90%, and we've taken sessions for thousands of girls, so I'm speaking out of a lot of data.
Right.
90% girls have gone through it. So you're not alone. Be courageous, speak out, and share this with your family, with your friends, with the police authority. Trust me, they will support you. Trust me, they will stand with you. Trust me, they'll help you. And object. You can be oppressed and suppressed only as long as you are willing to be oppressed and suppressed.
Sure.
Nobody needs to empower you. Nobody needs to empower a woman. You are already empowered.
Exactly, yeah.
All you need is to take that step ahead, stop that thing from happening, express it and share it with the world. Trust me, you don't need to fear. And if you find no one, I'm always there. Feel free to reach out to me on social media, anywhere. I'll make sure wherever you are, we are able to help you out in some way or the other.
Right.
Okay, this is my promise. So you have so many people, you're not alone. Please don't be scared.
Lovely. So how can volunteers get connected with you if anybody is interested for volunteering? So is there any contact number or Instagram ID or Facebook ID you can mention here, so people can get direct contacted to you?
So one thing they can do, the easiest thing is connect with Renovatio or me on social medias, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, WhatsApp, all social media we are there. So Renovatio's account ID on all these profiles is renovatio.india. Okay. So Renovatio is like RENOVATIO, which is renovation without the last letter N.
Yeah.
Right? The word renovation comes from Renovatio. And the word Renovatio basically means renewal, restoration, and rebirth.
Okay, lovely.
Which we are trying to do with the world. So you can contact with us as renovatio.india on all of these platforms.
Right.
You could also connect with me. My ID is Living Nakul, LIVING, Living Nakul, NAKUL, on all these platforms, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, anywhere. So you can feel free to reach out to us. We also have a website, renovatioindia.com, and my website is nakulagrawal.com. So these websites also have our email IDs, our volunteering forms, and all other things. So for anything and everything, you can feel free to reach out to us. We'll try our best to be of service to you.
Lovely. Amazing. So one last question, Nakul. As you said that when we had a talk before, the major pain point is why. So most of the people don't know why they are doing or why they should do. So how can you express in your words, and how can you explain in brief to the audience that how someone should go through that 1+1 step to know your why?
Great. Firstly, Pratik, why is this why important? All of our thoughts, everything that we think, all of our thoughts in the mind can be encompassed into these three questions: why, what, and how.
Right.
You just keep thinking about this. Why am I doing this? Why is this happening with me? What should I do? What should I not do? How to do it? How not to do it? How is the world? What is the world? Why is he doing it? You do not think out of these three questions. And any other species, except human beings, they also function from two questions, okay? They think about what and how. What do I want to do? I want to eat. How? Go and hunt. What do I want to do? I want to shit. How? What do I want? I want to sleep. How? So they have a feeling, they have a hormonal natural urge. They know what to do, and then they ask themselves how to do it, and they start doing it.
Right.
What makes us human is this question, why? Otherwise, we also just the same body as any other animal is. This why is the reason why you and me are sitting comfortably talking in a particular language, over technology, over long distance, with a fan, with clothes, with everything else. which no other animal is doing, right?
Exactly.
So this why is what makes us human, because we have a tendency of asking why for everything. But as you're growing up, guys, you stop asking why and you start accepting. You know, you have beliefs. You know, people who have someone who has beliefs does not know, and someone who knows does not need to have beliefs. Isn't that true, Pratik?
Right. Truly. Yeah.
You believe, do you have a belief that I'm Nakul, or do you know I'm Nakul? Of course, you know I'm Nakul now, right? Right. So if I come and meet you, would you say I believe Nakul came and met me, or would you say I know Nakul came and met me?
Yeah, obviously.
Right? But people have beliefs. You accept second-hand answers from people and start believing them. So unless and until you ask why, you could never really know anything. And knowing is what empowers you. Beliefs always disempower you. Isn't that true? There's someone who's a terrorist because he's believing he would go to heaven by killing people. There's someone who's doing a fraud because he's believing he's doing good by doing that. Stop having beliefs, guys. Start knowing. And the only way to know is by asking why. How to ask why? Like Pratik, you said, it's simple. Whatever you are doing, ask yourself, why are you doing it? You'll get an answer. That answer would just be an excuse or a reason or justification. The first answer. So you need to question that answer as well. And why this? And you'll get another answer. And you'll need to question that as well. Why that? All right. Or what for that? Right. You will get the root answer of any question after you question it 4 to 5 times. Like you're saying, why am I doing this? Because of this. Okay. And why am I doing that? Because of that. And why am I doing that? Because of this. And what makes me do that? Because of that. So until you go really deep, you would never really get clarity about your why. So at least go 4 to 5 levels deep. Sometimes you need to go 7 to 8 levels, keep questioning the answer till that depth. Sometimes just 3 times is enough. You'll get the answer. So we need to ask questions, and do not think the people around you have answers. They are as blind as you are. Even they have beliefs, right? So my mantra to you would be that question everyone and everything, and spare no one and nothing. And everyone includes me. All right. So you can feel free to ask me why for anything that I'm saying, suggesting, guiding, advising. I help a lot of people with their questions about life every single day on social media, because, me being a young mystic, so they always youngsters feel, more capable and more open to reach out to me rather than those with beards and different clothes and colors, right? So, and I always tell them that never take whatever I'm saying for a belief just because it makes sense. Question me. Don't be convinced by me. If it makes sense, it's yours. If it doesn't, it was never yours. Right? So, guys, this is how you can know your why, by asking this to yourself. Nobody else can give you the answer. We can certainly give you an answer, but it won't be your answer. So take answers, but don't accept them. Reflect on them. Question why the answer is right and why the answer is wrong. Right? I mean, Pratik, this is the basis of all my existence and work. Whatever I've shared with you, whatever I've done in life, whatever little difference I'm able to create in the world in all these thousands of lives, it's all because of this question why. And yes, sometimes supported by the question what and how, right? So it's all because of this. All my wisdom is because of this. I have studied chartered accountancy. Otherwise, I have not studied any scriptures or books. So guys, all the answers you're searching for are within you. Exactly. You don't need to go out. I'm not prohibiting you to go out and seek for it, but I'm telling you, you have it within you. The answer is where the question is. The question is, are you asking it? Are you seeking it? And are you searching it? If yes, trust me, you will find it.
Awesome. So truly, Nakul, the experience and incidents speak more harder than the books, obviously, and even the degrees. So yeah, it was lovely talking to you, Nakul, and thank you so much for sparing your precious time. And surely we will get on the part 2, maybe next week or next to next week, on focusing towards more of women-centric problems, whichever they are going through right now. Okay, and best wishes to all your programs right now, which you are running right now. Also, the websites and the social media links, guys, I'll put in the description. You can go through it. And yeah, thank you so much, Nakul.
Thank you, Pratik. It was a pleasure and absolute honor to be with you. I must appreciate you, Pratik, that what initiative you've taken is something which we need today to
Right.
share these stories and take them to the world. And I wholeheartedly, appreciate you and stand with you wherever you need me in whichever way,
Sure.
whenever.
Same here.
Please feel free to reach out. Right? And thank you so much, Pratik. I want to thank you not just on my behalf, but on behalf of all the people who are going to listen to this and in some way going to benefit from this. So, guys, I want to, I want you all to give a huge shout out to Pratik and to his Million Women podcast as well. Please make sure you share it. If you benefit from something, make sure you share it. So, hear all his podcasts, subscribe to it, and share it with all your friends and family. This is how you would contribute to his mission, and a mission which belongs to all of us, of creating a better world for all of us,
Yeah.
not just for yourself. So, guys, humanity is all about giving. Please don't stop sharing his podcast and channel and insight to the world. You'll be doing a service for everyone else. So, thank you so much, Pratik.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye bye.